Well, hello, everybody, in person and both virtually. I am Brian Maynor, and I'm the Executive Director of Zeal Center for Entrepreneurship. But more importantly, I'm part of an organizing committee for the Sioux Falls chapter of 1 Million Cups. And we are so thrilled to be back somewhat in person this morning. It's so great to see some of your faces, and if you're not able to make it, we're so thrilled that you're tuning in this morning. I have to give kudos immediately. I walked in this space this morning, and it was like walking into a bougie lounge. I'm feeling really good about the production value, and that's thanks to Pinnacle Production. So thank you guys for being here and for stepping up our game this morning. Just to do a little housekeeping before we get started, if you are tuning in online and you have a question to ask, please post them in the comments of the live video and we'll make sure to get those questions asked on your behalf. And if you're here in person, we're going to pass a mic around. We have wipes, so make sure to wipe it off after you ask your question. So we're being careful. We will get to the Q&A portion after our presenters speak this morning. It's been a while. Why do we do this? There are over 160 communities across the country that meet every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. to give each other support, to share ideas, encouragement, feedback, and share a cup of coffee, which is why it's called 1 Million Cups. So we're proud to be a part of a much larger community than just here in Sioux Falls, but we're so proud of the people that are here and supporting entrepreneurship and startups in our community. So thank you so much for showing up every week and for all you do to help support small business here in Sioux Falls. If you're interested in presenting, you can send an email to any one of the organizing committee. You can send a message through the 1 Million Cups Facebook page, and we will certainly consider your application. Community events. So we're here in person, which I'm really excited about. So hopefully we've got some folks here in the room that have some events, good news, anything that you'd like to share that benefits our small business and entrepreneurial community. We'd love to hear from you. And Peter will walk around with a mic and a wipe. Jamie Wood.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Jamie Wood, the District Director for the U.S. Small Business Administration South Dakota District Office. Thank you for coming back with a hybrid event. So it's wonderful to be able to be back together again, and it's very important. I keep using the terms bold leadership is really needed right now to mitigate us through COVID and back into the economy, which the good news is, I've heard recently that over 80% of employees are back at work in South Dakota, so we're one of the states that are really doing well with leading, the effort in getting back to work. So with that in mind, happy National Small Business Week this week. So we're celebrating this in September this week. Usually we do this in May, but it is going on this week across the nation. And so hopefully a lot of other 1 Million Cups, whether they're virtual or in person right now, are talking about this same event. We kicked it off yesterday with an amazing virtual awards ceremony for our Small Businesses of the Year, our Small Business Champion of the Year, Matt Paulson, and also our Lenders of the Year. And so that was really great. We have we videoed it and we copied it, so it's recorded, and so you can see it at your leisure if you're interested. But today we have some more events coming up. We have at noon we have a training with SCORE, which is one of our partners, our volunteer mentor partners, and they're going to be doing kind of a nuts and bolts, the basics to get into business workshop. And then we also tomorrow are going to do a recruiting event for SCORE mentors. So SCORE is made up of volunteers that are interested in the entrepreneurial or small business space. Matt is also one of our newest SCORE volunteer mentors here for Sioux Falls area, but this is across the nation, 11,000 mentors, and you can be any age if you have an interest in doing this. So, and then we're going to have a little bit of a just kind of a networking, social, no-host ecosystem building tomorrow. It's going to be at 4 o'clock at Covert Cellars here in Sioux Falls. You're invited to attend, and it's just really to keep fostering these great business relationships. So happy National Small Business Week.
Thank you, Jamie. And just a point here, if you are going to present an event, I should have had you walk up here and stand in front of the camera. So if you want to talk about an event or anything coming up, please come up to the front here and get your face on camera. Sorry, Jamie. Yeah, we should. Anybody else want to share? Matt, front and center. Like kind of between the two cameras there.
Oh, fancy.
There you go.
So on Thursday, October 10th, we are going to be having Innovation Expo again. Oh, actually, that's not the right date because that's the 22nd, yep. And it's from 12:30 to 5:30 at the Houghton Garden Inn. We've got room for 100 people to attend, nice and spaced out. And then it's going to be online too. But if you've been to Innovation Expo in the past, we are still doing it this year. Houghton Garden Inn, we've got a great lineup of speakers. It's kind of the annual event for people interested in startups and kind of venture capital in Sioux Falls. You can learn more about it probably by Googling South Dakota Innovation Expo, and it's also on Facebook as well, so check that out.
Thanks, Matt, and happy birthday. It's Matt Paulson's birthday today, everybody. Anybody else have something to share this morning? Because if you don't, I do. I'm going to brag for a minute about one of my incredible staff members. His name is Peter Hauk, and he is our community manager at Zeal Center, also one of the organizing members of the 1 Million Cups Committee. And it was recently announced that he will take part in the 35th class of Leadership Sioux Falls. So congratulations to Peter. It's fantastic. I'm proud. And also, we partner with the South Dakota Biotech Organization. They house their office out of Zeal, as well as a fantastic nonprofit called Draco. And they are partnering on a 6-part series called Startup School, which will take place both virtually and in person. And some of those events will take place at Zeal. But the easiest way to find the information is to go to Eventbrite and search for Startup School. And the first Startup School will take place next Thursday, October 7th at 7:45 a.m. So look for that information as well. We're always just looking to connect you guys with the resources you need. So thanks for sharing this morning. And if we don't have any other announcements, I don't think we saw anything on the Facebook feed, so I'll just keep going here, and we'll introduce our featured speakers this morning. We have 2. This is a double header, kind of a special circumstance. If you've been tuning in the last couple of weeks, we have been featuring the businesses of the second cohort of Falls Fintech, which is a financial technology accelerator, which takes place right here in the heart of Sioux Falls. We're so proud of the work that these folks are doing. A lot of them work for Central Payments, but they're now managing this new great accelerator program, bringing folks in from across the country, maybe even internationally. And it's just been so fantastic to be a part of that process and just learn more about what they're doing. So we've had 3 presenters so far, and we're going to have the 4th speak this morning, and then after that we'll have the organizing committee speak about the accelerator. So I want to introduce a gentleman who is with what's called Cedar's Credit Builder, which allows consumers to utilize the money they have and expenses they already pay to build credit they deserve. And you can learn more about this, and he's going to talk all about it at creditbuilder.com. But his name is Adam Finke, and he's the CEO of this company. He's got an MBA from USD. He is a Southwest Minnesota native, so he currently lives in Laverne, Minnesota, but he's worked in all types of financial institutions here in the Sioux Falls area, and we're just so excited to have him here in person. So please help me welcome Adam Finke with Cedar to the stage.
Well, thank you, Brianne, and thank you 1 Million Cups and everybody for putting on this event. Happy to be here. Like Brianne said, my name is Adam Finke. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Cedar and the Cedar Credit Builder. Again, I'm a local boy, the first local participant for Falls Fintech. Grew up 30 miles east of here in Laverne, Minnesota. I actually live on a farm 1 mile from where I grew up. So getting ready for harvest this year, so I'm excited. Cedar Credit Builder is a financial technology company that is meant to significantly improve access to healthy financial products through an innovative and simple way to build credit. Really, the Cedar Credit Builder is focused on the issue that so many people struggle with. It's always that chicken and egg syndrome where you need good credit to get healthy financial products, but you also want healthy financial products to build your credit. So we really had to step back and look at the full credit building process from the start to finish, look at what's already out there in the market to determine what their shortcomings were, what pain points were the consumers experiencing. And we can really see that there weren't any real solutions that would help people live the lives that they're already living, that they're prepared for those large-scale purchases, in the future, rather than having to, just go about your business, not building credit, and then determining, hey, I need a car, or I'm going to buy a house for my family, and then realizing, oh, my credit score isn't that great, and now my interest rate's even higher. You can see the problem here on the screen is massive. If you're just looking at a $200,000 home loan, which here in Sioux Falls would be, kind of consistent with the market. Elsewhere in the United States, it's obviously much higher. Over the 30-year life of that loan, a consumer would spend $55,000 more if they don't have a good credit score. So that $55,000 is just an 80-point difference in your credit score. So from a 600 to a 680. We can see that's a massive issue over the life of these loans because that's compounded when they get a credit card. They get an auto loan for a $20,000 auto loan. The same thing would be about a $5,000 increase over a 5-year, 60-month loan. So we really took the solution back to saying we don't want to give the consumer more money. Let's just take the money that they already have to cover the bills and subscriptions that they already pay and help them earn the credit that they deserve. It's really just focusing on the consumer's life individually and helping turn that into a credit building opportunity. If we look at the market, we're really focusing on the thin credit profile individuals and people with no credit at all, which is about 102 million Americans. As you can see here, I mean, that's a large slice of the pie, about 30% of the overall population in the United States. There's another 9% in here that are invisible, where they just don't have any trade lines or anything on their credit report at all, where they don't even show up. So that's another batch on top of the 102 million Americans that really hit our market. And you can see here just how much the problem that I stated earlier with interest rates would be when you can see that $4.11 trillion in consumer lending outstanding debt since 2019. That's a lot of money that can be saved for these consumers and placed back into the economy through other opportunities. So, specifically, our model really goes back to alternative data sources. We've partnered with Plaid to get direct access to the consumer's bank account. So when they sign up for their account, our system finds those recurring bills and subscriptions that the consumer already pays, and then it automatically creates a line of credit for them. We extend those funds onto a Cedar card, at which point the consumer just changes their payment method at the various selected merchants to the Cedar card. They spend their money like they would any other time, and then at the end of the month, we draft their bank account for the money that they used from their line of credit, plus the small fee on top, which is how we make money as Cedar, and then also through the interchange of that. And then we'll report that positive payment to the credit bureaus. And that just repeats month over month for 3 years or until the consumer cancels. As you see, when we get to the competitive advantages, we don't have any long-term contracts. It's really just meant to be a set it and forget it opportunity. We pride ourselves on really what we have as proprietary experience and technology. First of all, our algorithm for finding those recurring bills and subscriptions and creating an acceptable line of credit that both maximizes the line of credit usage as well as maximizes the number of transactions we can have for revenue creation. That's one of our biggest pieces of, proprietary tech, and what my developer and co-founder, George from Seattle, really spent most of his time on. We also have active credit controls at every point in the process, which really helps us minimize the loss rates down to near zero. And when we're talking about active credit controls, that's actually the authorization on the card. We're working with Central Payments and then hopefully Galileo to be inline authorization capable, which basically gives us real-time capability to authorize or decline a purchase on our cards. Since we know exactly what they're going to be spending their money on and what merchants, we can automatically approve and decline those authorizations so that our money doesn't go where we didn't expect it to go. Outside of that, we've built our old platform on API basis, which allows us to be flexible in the changing market. So we can add and drop different functionality as we go, as we want to expand different lending capabilities, new KYC modules, that's Know Your Customer, BSA, AML items. Everything can be done, basically kind of drag and drop with our API platform. And then our consumer lending expertise, that's just me. So that's great. I should have just put my picture up there. 10 years of experience in consumer lending mostly all here in the Sioux Falls area with Wells Fargo, Plains Commerce Bank, and then MetaBank. So we're really excited about what we have going on. There's obviously some competitors in the market out there. Chime, as well as some other secured credit card products, really kind of missed the mark when it comes to requiring consumers to put money into a secured account. A lot of those 102 million Americans really struggle living paycheck to paycheck. So asking them to put a $500 or $1,000 into a secured account and making them less liquid is kind of a tall ask, and that's what we really wanted to eliminate there. And then you can see here, Grow Credit. They have a model most similar to Cedar's in the fact that they also try to build credit off of the bills and subscriptions that you have. Their credit line is much lower at a max of $50, and then their terms are about 12 months. So we minimize that by being able to extend a larger line of credit and then also don't have any long-term commitments. And then Experian Boost, I mean, they do a great job at quickly showing a boost to your credit score. That's at one bureau and doesn't necessarily have a major impact on your overall Vantage score or FICO score. So when we look at Cedar and our competitive advantages, it really comes down to four things. There's no credit checks. We don't need to know how you've performed in your past. We just really see if there's recurring bills and subscriptions in your bank data and then are able to lend against that. No security deposits, just like those secured credit cards. We are not going to lock up your funds. We want you to use your money as you please, and we're going to continue just using the money that you've already budgeted to pay those bills and subscriptions to give you that credit that you deserve. No long-term commitments. It's just month-over-month usage of this product. You can cancel, you can bring it back in whenever you want. We've built it so that you really just set it though and forget it because we want to continue using it, people to use it. It's just like your debit card when you go out and set up your Netflix subscription. As soon as you get it set up for that first 20 minutes of getting our account, you really don't have to change it. It'll just continue working behind the scenes, which is really what we want. And people to roll for over 6 months because that's when you really get your credit building at its biggest. The opportunity to build credit is that 6-month timeline. And then it's affordable. We're looking at the just disbursement fees on monthly usage up to 5%. Obviously, there's going to be some work on what that percentage is. If we can minimize that down to closer to 0 for customer acquisition purposes, that'd be great. Here's our team. It's a small team, but we come from some great organizations that are extremely forward-thinking. Myself, I've already talked about my experience. I'm just the CEO, and I'm out here just trying to be a good face. The brilliant people are here to the right of me. My co-founder, George, brilliant developer. He was a senior developer at Smartsheet, if you've used that before. And then previously to that, him and our designer, lead UI UX individual, Henry, they both work together at IM Plus, which is Will I Am's company out of LA. Will I Am, if you don't know, is one of the individuals from the Black Eyed Peas. Very forward-thinking, creative individuals, and they were 2 of the founding 10 developers on his technology team. So great people to have on our side. And if we're just looking at our milestones here, we've really done some great work. We've created our beta product, which is ready to go. There's a couple of implementations that we have to do with central payments after we get through the Falls Fintech. We've raised just over $52,000 in August, which has just allowed me to fully focus on this as a product. And then we've also been accepted, obviously, into the Falls Fintech Accelerator, which has been a huge help in continuing development and then meeting individuals that can support our cause. So what are we going to be doing in the near future? Right now, biggest thing is just raising money. If we can see here, we're in a current seed round where we're looking to raise $1 to $1.5 million to support in product and platform development. And customer acquisition and operations. So what that is we're trying to launch our product by the end of Q1 2021. A number of things go into that, just making sure all of our back end is fully implemented, as well as our full implementation with central payments. So this will allow us to bring my co-founder and our design individual on full time, as well as pay myself an actual salary so that I can support my two daughters. So really looking to go full bore into this, making sure that we can test our models over the first half of 2021. We look to launch in the Q1, and then through the end of 2021, those 9 months, we look to expand out to 25,000 consumers, and that's through strategic partnerships with some large-scale employers, as well as bank partnerships, and then to our B2C digital marketing strategy. If you could see our implementation with the bank partnership, that kind of coincides with our overall market launch, which is beta in Q1 of 2021, or excuse me, Q4 of 2020 with Falls Fintech now, and then we have market launch in Q1. So we're really looking forward to everything that we can do, and we appreciate all your time. If you want to chat with me about a possible investment opportunity, I would love to chat with you, or maybe other partnership opportunities. Maybe this is a product you and your company could use just to support as maybe an elective benefit for your team members. Just give me a call. My contact information will be here on the screen. Also, if you're in the room, please feel free to chat with me afterwards. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Adam.
Yep.
Spoken like a true CEO, doing his networking while he presents. I love it. I just wanted to let you all know that I want you to hold your questions until after our second presenter is finished. And again, if you are tuning in online, post those questions in the chat on the video. So secondly, again, we've had 4 of the 5 of the second cohort of Falls Fintech Accelerator present over the last 3 weeks, and it's been so great to get to know them and their businesses and just figure out how we can help support them. And there's a team behind the scenes that is doing incredible work in this community, and it cannot go unnoticed, including by my own organization that's looking to launch its own accelerator program. So we're paying a lot of attention to what they're doing right now. But I just wanted to introduce one of those organizers and let you know that backed by the most recognizable brands and payments, Falls Fintech is a custom accelerator program designed to expedite market readiness for early-stage financial technology startups. That's the simple answer to what Falls Fintech is. And I want to welcome to the stage my friend. Her name is Nikkee Rhody, and she is Falls Fintech's managing director. So give her a round of applause.
Thanks. Cool. Thank you, guys. So good to be with you. I've been here before, and so I'm going to take a bit of a different shift on what Falls Fintech is. You guys may have heard this terminology. Let me advance that. Okay, so most of what we've done with 1 Million Cups is bringing this cohort, each of these companies, to you all to debut what they're working on and just provide exposure for them. But what I thought would be helpful today is to talk about what is Falls Fintech in general. Why do we do this? If you don't know, fintech, a lot of times people get confused what that is. Let's see, is that going? Do you guys know why that might not be up? There we go. Fintech, a lot of times people will be like, what is that? Is that the name of a company? It's really just a mashup of 2 words, financial services and technology. So you might recognize some of the brands that come up on the screen here. PayPal, Rocket Mortgage, Quicken Loans, Stripe, Venmo. I'm sure everybody uses Venmo or Cash App. Those are all just different forms of fintech. So what we've done is really took an analysis on what's happening in the fintech landscape. Over 1 year, from February of 19 to February of 20, the fintech startup landscape has absolutely exploded. So there's nearly 8,800 fintech startups just in the United States alone. So when Brienne said that we get applicants from across the globe, that's absolutely true. This cohort, we were close to bringing in someone from Jerusalem. Last cohort, we had a company out of Kenya. And so it's really grown a lot. But these statistics are just from the United States. With the exception of the market itself, nearly $310 billion in that space. And so you might be thinking, why? Why is that such an expansive market? And really, it comes down to a few things, right? So technology is advancing like crazy. It impacts everybody. There's healthcare, insurtech, all these different areas and avenues. But money impacts everybody in every way. And people want convenience. So online bill pay, checking your bank account is a form of fintech. So technology matters, e-commerce, more and more people are buying online. And then the cool thing that really is close to my heart is more people are looking for social good opportunities. How can they use technology to help people get better financial inclusion? to different people in different ways. So when Adam talks about credit, instead of your same old, hey, let's look how you performed in the past, what would it look like if technology modified that approach and just said, these are good people for one reason or the other that just don't have good files? And so leveraging technology for social good and inclusion is really fun. A few other stats that are just interesting to look at. Goodbye cash, hello digital. Everybody, cash spending is going down, probably no surprise, but mobile payments is on the rise like crazy. So debit and credit may be immaterial, moving upwards. But you can look at, again, the kind of volume that's happening from a payments flow standpoint. By 2021, we're looking at nearly a $275 billion market. And there's not a lot of industries that are growing at that pace. So when you think about, hey, that piece of the pie, a lot of people will come to the table and they'll say, hey, I want to launch a fintech. I have a really sweet idea. I have access to money. Oh gosh, but now what? So financial services is a complicated industry. And that's where the accelerator really comes to help solve some of these pain points for people. So it's more than an idea, it's more than access to capital. Now you have to figure out this fuzzy world and what the heck you're gonna do with it. 9 out of 10 startups fail. Wah, wah, wah. 7.5 out of 10 are venture-backed and still fail. So why does that happen? Why do venture capitalists still invest in startups? When you look at this typical startup curve, this is academically probably pretty familiar if you're familiar with entrepreneurs and startups. There's this kind of trough of sorrow and all these different things when you see, excitement wears off and all this stuff. So we look at all those things and we think, okay, so 9 out of 10 fail. There's all these kind of humps and valleys and all the things. Why do people fail? 63% cite that they have access or don't have access to talent, especially in financial services. It's a complicated industry. There's regulation like alphabet soup coming out of your ears. And so you have to know all those things. You have to figure out all those things. Also, incompetence. Another scary word when you talk about starting up, but they just don't know what they don't know. And so when I think about all these things, additionally, there's leadership and team issues and all that. So Central Bank of Kansas City, as Adam kind of highlighted, a division of that is Central Payments. We're located here in Sioux Falls, and there's a ton of us that have decades of experience. And we thought, what would it look like if we leveraged some of that human capital, some of that, experience and know-how, and tried to pay it forward, right? So 8,800 startups. Gosh, what do I do? Incompetence, all that stuff. What if we take that experience and leverage it? And so we started looking into accelerators and incubators and think tanks and just different processes to help people learn. And we thought, let's do the accelerator route. They all have just slight nuances. I won't get into that too much. But, and really what that does, guys, is that helps us smooth out this startup curve and really give people a better chance to succeed. So with Falls Fintech, we've got over 150 financial services mentors that are tied to these companies that we bring in to our program. We teach them for about 12 weeks about a bunch of different topics that take that fuzzy mess and make some kind of sense of it. And so really there's 4 of us on the team. Trent Sorby and myself are co-founders of this accelerator. And then of course, Heather and Luke are behind the scenes, and they're really where the magic happens. They kind of keep us on track, on budget, on pace, on task. Ugh, that's hard to do. And so Central Bank of Kansas City, Central Payments, and Falls Fintech are all under one umbrella. And we're just super proud of what we've created in a short period of time. A few main points: we provide each of the companies that come to the program a little bit of capital to create some runway, so we give them 15 grand. We provide 12 weeks of education for them. And again, mentors, open APIs. If you're not familiar with APIs, it's just software talking to software. And so we've developed ways to connect all the ecosystem players in financial services under one platform, which gives them a huge advantage, again, smoothing out that curve of how much work it takes. Few topics from everything from leadership to fundraising to performance to regulatory compliance, taught by experts in the field. And of course, second cohort. Super proud of all of these guys. You would have heard from them over the last few weeks, and they're crushing it, working on really cool things. So second cohort, we launched 1 in the spring, 1 in the fall, 5 companies in the spring, 5 companies in the fall. So we're halfway through this one. and really looking forward to getting them to market, expediting that path to launch. So with that, I want to save some time mostly for questions for Adam, because he's kind of where it's at. But with that, Brianne, I don't know if you want to take it.
Applause. And the whole team, they're all here this morning. So we're going to head into the Q&A section. So I'm going to have Adam come up. So if you have a question of Adam Finke of Cedar Credit Builder or of Nikkee Rhody and the organizing team of Falls Fintech, this is your chance to ask questions. And we will pass a mic around, and yeah, we'll go from there. So Peter, do you have the mic? Matt's got a question, and I'm going to get out of the way.
Hello? I'll try to stand on camera.
Oh, there you go.
Hey, Adam. So my question is, if I don't have a credit file and I have a bank account, and I assume you're looking inside my bank transaction history to determine if I'm creditworthy, what kind of things are you looking for? Are you looking for direct deposits, or what are those kind of things that you're looking for in people's accounts?
Yep, great question. We specifically look for recurring bills and subscriptions. There's a slight look at balance history. So when you link your account to Cedar, we get the last 2 years, or as long as your account is open. So if you opened a year ago, we'll get all of that data. And so we'll pull in all of that. We'll find those recurring bills and subscriptions that you've been paying over the last 3 months and on time. So we're looking at amount, merchant, date, to then link those three together. Basically say, yes, this person's paying these over and over again, and then creating that line of credit to find those items. We're not necessarily looking that you had insufficient funds a year ago, because that's not how you're operating now. It's just, what are you paying now, and let's turn that into an opportunity. Thank you, Matt.
I have a question from Facebook here. It says, Adam, could you see this being implemented for young adults entering higher education, specifically for first-year students? It seems like a safer way to build credit and an understanding of financial management for a relatively vulnerable population in regards to fiscal management.
Yeah, I can definitely see it being an opportunity for people just entering higher education. Obviously, there's those impacts of, do they have eligible recurring payments in their transaction history? If they don't have some of those already set up on their own bank account, or if they've never had their own bank account, we may not be able to find them. But it's definitely a solution that can be updated if maybe their second or third month into college, where they've now all of a sudden had their own Netflix or Spotify account, that we can now all of a sudden find it and then get them into the credit profiles. And that's a perfect opportunity, especially when they haven't had any trade lines, to really see some massive improvement in their credit score. Thank you.
So this is for Adam. So say I have reoccurring to, say, DirecTV, and Trolls comes out, and I purchase that movie. You have a credit line that's based on those reoccurring subscriptions. How do you make adjustments for those payments that may adjust, and how do those get paid?
So right now, we're just looking at lending against those ones that don't have any variance while we launch the product. But as we go, we'll continue to add in functionality to allow a little bit of variance, especially, say, with the DirecTV, you add that $5, $6 purchase when you're purchasing Trolls to rent for the next couple of weeks for your daughters and your son. But it's just an opportunity then for us to add that in by saying, we're going to lend you a line of credit for 105%, where the funds are on that card able to be used, but may not be fully utilized at the end of the month, but we'll still only charge you for the funds you actually pull off of that card. So there's a lot of opportunities for advancement of our product, but right now in the initial start, it's purely just exactly how much you're utilizing. If it goes above that, we won't authorize it, and we'll have to do a little bit of work just to correct the issue. Thank you, Keith.
I have a question. So again, as an organization that's looking to launch their own accelerator and support the people in this community, can you speak to the power and the, just what has this program done for you, and what can you say to those folks that are tuning in right now that are thinking, I really want to go through a program like this? Why do they want to go through this, and what's it going to bring to the table for them as they're aspiring to start their own businesses?
Yeah, just one of the 3 taglines for Falls Fintech is just real connections. That's probably been the biggest piece for me overall. from the first week where we were all on site and we were able to do pub pitch, where I was able to do this exact same thing with a beer in my hand, which is always exciting. That just led to a lot of conversations with people here locally. That is then, excuse me, there's flying around here. It must smell a little bit, sorry about that. But getting attacked. But at the end of the day, those connections led us to be able to meet with people across the country. Just one connection here in Sioux Falls led me to an individual in Texas, then led me to an individual in Miami that then connected me with another lending professional that's in Vail, Colorado. So just those little connections are going to bring us a long ways and already have to date. So just being able to get our story out to people and then also have expertise for all the questions and concerns I have, being able to message the Falls Fintech team late at night via Slack, or just even sending or having a beer with them. I'm excited I get to be here locally, so it's great to bounce ideas off them. But those connections have been the major component to my success so far in Falls Fintech.
What was that aha moment for you to have you step away from the corporate job and go into the world of entrepreneurship? Because obviously in the financial world, and us being in the financial capital of the Midwest, you could find a really good job anywhere, but what makes you, what took you to the next level? Yeah,
great question. I left my very good paying job. The last day was the day when my second daughter was born too. So to me, that aha moment that made me take that big leap was just seeing the benefit that other fintechs have had to consumers out there. This was an idea I had towards the end of 2019, early on in 2020, even before COVID hit, about a month. I just said, this is something I really need to drive forward because I think it's an opportunity that is missing out there for consumers. Me as a 32-year-old individual, I didn't have something like this to use when I was first starting out, and the Wells Fargo credit card that I was given illegally at the time had horrible rates, and I could have been much better off if I didn't have that issue from the start. So to me, it was, I have the skill set to understand consumer lending. I finally just jumped. I found an individual that could help create that idea with me, and really that aha moment was us connecting and saying, this is doable, let's go forward. And then Falls Fintech really allowed me just to say, I'm leaving that full-time job and focusing on this full-time. So it's been kind of the support system was huge for us there. So the great idea in my mind. So if you don't think it's great, keep that to yourself. But great idea in my mind, and then the support system to help me out. That really made me jump.
Hi, so my question is, this is a really big percentage of the population that doesn't really understand anything about the financial world, maybe doesn't understand that they need this resource or what it is, or all these things freak them out. How are you going to get it to them? What is the plan to get it to the people that need it the most, that are also the people that don't understand it the most and maybe are wary of this world with a lot of mumbo jumbo that they don't understand?
Yeah, great question, and I guess that's the billion-dollar question of how you make this a profitable company, is that customer acquisition strategy. So if we're looking at 102 million Americans that really don't have credit, that just means they aren't looking or just haven't understood it. So the way we're going to approach it is, first of all, with strategic partnerships. If we can go to, say, large-scale employers, offer the product as an elective benefit where we can figure out a pricing strategy or even offer it as a free opportunity to grow consumers in that way, that's our first strategy. Because when we're looking at that marketing base, it's either people that are kind of Zennials, 18 to 25, that we're looking at, or then new Americans. And of that group, even say the new Americans, their major source of trust comes from their employer. So if we can work with their employer to transfer that trust from their employer to Cedar and then be able to expand product offerings, that's really our main strategy to start with. At which point then we'll base use our expertise and knowledge based on our consumers to then go direct to the consumer through our digital marketing strategy, which is mostly social based. Great question. Thank you.
I actually have a question. So can you just, it's more of a just asking you to expound upon something, but can you talk a little bit more about the status of your product right now and what hurdles you need to overcome before you are able to launch your beta here?
Yeah. So we were prepared to launch our beta back in June. We lost our issuer and ACH payments provider just due to a change in terms and conditions. So we then moved on to Falls Fintech, which through this cohort will go through due diligence to be able to get the issuing and ACH capabilities through central payments. That's really our last hurdle. And so it's just making sure that all of our I's are dotted and T's crossed for bank due diligence, because at the end of the day, our bank partnership really puts us with central payments and the Central Bank of Kansas City team. So we have to operate under the same regulations that they do. So we want to make sure that everything's set there. So really it's funding to allow us to continue forward, and then also just getting the due diligence and implementation items ready to go, because funding drives our ability to implement and launch the product, but then also just the creation of all the documents, policies, and procedures for our consumers is the next big hurdle. So funding, and then just development timelines, which I'm not as worried about because we have a great team. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah.
My question is, I see this as a B2C product very easily, but what about the B2B part? So as an employer who hires a lot of people fresh out of college, if I'm able to give them an opportunity to better learn credit and better understand the money, then they have more disposable income, as opposed to someone who's been privy to the financial industry like you have. So what from a B2B perspective would be a massive benefit, and how would you partner with that company?
Yeah, to me, the benefit of being able to offer a product, say, for a business where you're hiring individuals, obviously it comes down to just a individual contract of, what can Cedar do for you? Can we do a white label product? Can we do dual branding with X company and Cedar together to say, hey, we're partnered to offer X company's team members, a good credit building opportunity, at which point we can look at either a cost share, revenue share model. It really just comes down to what your need is, how many consumers there are, and then look at the cost and then what the benefit really is. But we want to market to employers just because that's an easy way for us to minimize customer acquisition costs, because that's just me going to talk to you versus me having to pay for ads where I don't know how much it's going to cost per click and actually what the conversion rate for those users are. If I can go out and talk to you directly, I'd prefer that, because then we can customize the tool, get these users into our environment, in the way that you want to, and we can create those resources. So that's where I really want to lean, is that B2B through just access to large-scale employers or even small, mid-size employers, and then also bank partnerships, because the banks already have the consumer data. We can also partner with them to basically offer to their consumer base. Great question.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We have one last question for you, which we always ask, and I'll ask it of both of you. The 1 Million Cups community had a chance to ask you a bunch of questions, but what can the 1 Million Cups community do for both of you as you continue to move forward with your ventures?
I'll let you talk. I've been talking for a while.
Well, you probably have a better answer. Mine is just, I think, really just continuing to drive the startup ecosystem in Sioux Falls. You had mentioned about Sioux Falls in this area being this financial services mecca, and there's just so, especially for us in fintech, I think leveraging what people are doing here. There's a lot of people that are hungry to start up organizations, or at least contribute to those that are doing startup ventures. So keep doing that, keep building into each other and supporting each other.
Just keep talking to us. That's all I ask. Whether or not you're interested in the company or not, I just love those connections with people. And if we're just talking about your business, my business, being able to bounce ideas off each other, just keep supporting the startups, because from my point of view, where it's just me here, my co-founders in Seattle, I've never actually met them face to face yet due to COVID. I need people to talk to versus just myself at home. So if you want to get together, we'd love to see you.
Awesome. Let's give these two a huge round of applause. Thank you so much, and best of luck. And I just want to say, too, the power of mentorship is pretty incredible, and our city is looking to become a city of mentors. So if anyone tuned in today and they found Adam's venture to be interesting and someone they'd like to connect with, we'd love to connect you with him or any of the businesses as a part of the Falls Fintech cohort to help them in their ventures moving forward. So as we conclude here, I first want to thank our sponsors, which are the First National Bank in Sioux Falls, Sioux Center for Entrepreneurship, the Museum of Visual Materials, Market Beat, and Pinnacle Productions, which again has just come on as our new production partner, and I can't tell you enough how much we've appreciated this, and I'm sure those that are tuning in on Facebook are really impressed with the production value this morning, so thank you so much. And then we want to invite you to join us moving forward. Again, we will be continuing with this hybrid model, so you can join us live in person at the Museum of Visual Materials every Wednesday at 9 a.m. We've got our events posted on the 1 Million Cups Facebook page, and if you want to join our email list, send us a message through the Facebook group or grab us after the meeting here. But next week, we're going to be hearing from Chef Lance, who just opened a brand new beautiful restaurant in downtown Sioux Falls during a pandemic. Why not? So we'll be hearing from him, and then you're going to hear from me the week after that. So I'm going to come in and give you guys an update as to what's going on with Sioux Center for Entrepreneurship and all of the initiatives that we are so excited to share with you all. So please join me for that one. And then the week after that, we've got Craig Arnold, who is the CEO of a biotech company here in town, doing really incredibly exciting things, Nanoparel. So again, please join us in person if you can, and if you can't, tune in live with us and continue to interact, support one another, stay safe and stay well, and have a great day. Thank you so much.